Welcome to the To Be a Christian podcast. This is the first one we're doing, and we're going to go through one question per day in To Be a Christian, which is the official catechism of the Anglican Church of North America, in order to learn and live as Christians in the Anglican way. Today, I'm joined by Father Josh Misner, a fellow ACNA priest, and we are going to be going through question 18. So question 18 and the answer. What is a creed? A creed is a statement of faith. The word creed comes from the Latin credo, which means I believe. And it cites Deuteronomy 11:18-23 and 26, 1-11, John 20:24-29, and 1 John 5:9-12. I'll turn it over to Father Josh to share thoughts about question 18.
Thanks, James. One thing I like about this question right out of the gate is that it immediately links creeds to belief. I mean, of course, as it says, Latin credo, I believe. But as creeds, sometimes we can think about statements of faith. Let me start there. As being sort of confessions or something like that. So you have a school or a church or something like that, and they say, this is our statement of faith. Within the Anglican world, we don't really have something we would point to like that. Each individual congregation doesn't have its own statement of faith. And instead, we would point to the creeds, the Athanasian Creed, the Nicene Creed, and the Apostles' Creeds as being the content of our belief. So I appreciate that that's where this answer takes us to right at the very start. The creeds are a statement of faith, but what we mean by a statement of faith isn't something that's just particular to our sort of local body. It's actually something that puts us in tradition with the church historically. And certainly we see that at the end of the final article of the Creed as well. The other thing I was thinking about as I was kind of pondering this question and answer is that what it means to believe and what belief leads to, sometimes we sort of reverse the order of that in the modern day. So, quick story, I was talking to someone the other day who had joined the Anglican tradition, and he was telling me that he had sort of come to some convictions and kind of looked over the ecclesial landscape of all the churches in his area and said, well, this is one that kind of lines up with what I believe. And certainly many of us have done that. I'm not trying to discount that in any way. But what's interesting is that for much of the history of the church, that really wasn't how belief was talked about. So we have a tendency to think that we come to some sort of understanding, and therefore we come to some sort of belief. And that's kind of the order we put it in. But what's interesting is that earlier in the tradition, there's a little bit of discrepancy here, but Augustine of Hippo in one of his sermons, and then Anselm of Canterbury, both exactly reverse that order. So they have kind of a famous phrase, I believe so that I may understand. So belief in their minds is actually what leads to understanding. So if we think about this in the creeds, belief in what the creeds say about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is actually what's going to lead us into our understanding of who God is in three persons and one God. So it's not that we've sort of come to understand who God is, and then we believe in him. We actually believe in him first, and it's only in and through that relationship that we share in believing in him that we really come to any understanding of who he is and what he's done in our salvation. And just one final note I would say is that Anselm and Augustine both are looking to the scriptures to pull that. They're drawing this from we'll say a loose sort of paraphrase translation of Isaiah chapter 7, verse 9. They're looking to the scriptures and saying that this is actually what the scriptures teach as well, that belief leads to understanding rather than the other way around.
That's great. That's a really helpful. I remember being probably like in high school and hearing the senior pastor of my church quote Anselm and thinking, I just came from such a framework where I learned to think like belief is really just about like compiling the data. And then once I take that data And then that leads me to believe. I understand first. And I remember just rolling my eyes and saying, how stupid is it to reverse the order? Like, it's just not natural to us, I think, in a lot of ways, to the humility that comes from kind of that proper order. I believe first. And we'll be talking as the questions go on about what faith is, what belief is,
Yeah.
and what it looks like to see belief as more than just like a cognitive assent to some data, and about covenant loyalty and faithfulness, And so it actually makes sense that true understanding comes on the tail end of me being loyal, me being in a posture where I'm responding rightly to God as he's revealed himself.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I just think too that the the trajectory of a Christian life bears that out as well. So I've come to believe in the Lord, come to even believe in Jesus as my Lord at some point earlier in my life. Um, but it's taking me a whole lifetime to sort of work out what that means for my life, to come to understand that, to use that same language. And I just think the folks that I know who are older, wiser Christians in our parish, sort of the who have achieved the old man, old woman status,
Mm-hmm.
they would say the same thing. Like their lives would actually be examples of this, where they would say, "Yeah, I came to belief a long time ago, but it's been my whole life that I look back on, where all of a sudden I come to understand what God was up to in that time." And I always think time and time again, that's what we see in the scriptures as well. I mean, that's Israel's interaction with the Lord, is either belief or unbelief, and therefore understanding God's law or not understanding God's law.
I love it. Well, I want to be a person that seeks after God, seeks understanding. And in order to seek understanding, I know that I need to be submissive to the faith, and I want to be one that believes so that I may understand more. Thank you for your part in joining us so that we could have a discussion about what it means to learn and live as Christians in the Anglican way. We're thankful to everyone who is listening, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.